Sometimes even good people can make a mistake. And when it happens, it's one of the most intense and emotional experiences of your life. It could be a DUI, or maybe you were in the wrong place with the wrong people at the wrong time. Or perhaps you just did something stupid at the spur of the moment without even thinking, and now you're in trouble with the law. Well, you need experienced legal help right away so you don't become a victim of the criminal justice system. Even good people can make a mistake, and if you, a friend, or loved one has been accused of a crime, don't make another mistake by hiring the wrong attorney for the kind of help you need. You need to visit toddjohnslaw.com. That's toddjohnslaw.com, and then call Attorney Todd Johns today. Attorney Todd Johns has decades of experience helping good people like you who have made mistakes or bad decisions and will stand by you every step of the way. toddjohnslaw.com.
All right, hello. Welcome to That's Enough Out of You. I'm your host, Bill Rader, and joining me, as he does each and every week here on this fine podcast, is my co-host, Sean Kane. Sean, what's going on?
Billy Rays, how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. A little tired today, but otherwise okay. We got a lot of questions and comments to get to, but before we do that, let's just one more time talk about our Patreon and all the stuff, all the great stuff we have going on over there and Patreon. We do our weekly speakeasy program, which I is really, it's kind of, it's a little bit different from this one, because it's not, it's not as formatted. We've been having guests lately, but typically it's just me and you, and we just kind of talk about different topics of the day. We talk about sports and politics and things like that. So just it's a little bit different side to us.
Yeah, and a lot of people like that. Like you said, it's a different side. You see more of our personality. We talk a little bit more about stuff we believe in and stuff. So it's it's a different take. So check that out. Check out our website. There's some good articles up there. Check out the bookstore, the merch store. A lot going on, Billy. We have a lot going on.
Yeah, if you want to get a T-shirt like Sean's got on right now, you got to go to a merch store and order one. It's got our logo on there. Got to represent. Got to represent.
Got to represent, Billy. We got to represent. But one thing I want to say, Billy, is we have an episode that's out now that's published with Jeff Meek, and it's doing really good. A lot of downloads, a lot of responses, but some of it's been a little bit negative, just for the fact that a lot of people disagreed with a couple of his opinions there, especially like on Ruth Payne and stuff. And the thing is, I don't even agree with him on Ruth Payne. Like, I think she was an asset, and there's other things I don't agree with him on. But the thing is, Jeff always says he's a journalist. He says right in the episode, he says he's a fly on the wall. Like, he was taught to present the news, not be part of it. And that's what he does. And that's the great thing about his writing and his work. And the thing is, I'm the one that asked him his opinion, because he sat down with Ruth Payne. He was in her house. He was talking to her. He looked her in the eye. So I wanted to know his opinion. Maybe I shouldn't have asked him about it, because, I put him on the spot. So if anybody's upset about that, get mad at me, not at him. Shouldn't affect his work, because his work is tremendous. He just does, the people he interviewed, from Giancana's daughter, to FBI, the police chief, Dallas police chief Curry. I mean, he's interviewed so many people, Billy. So his work is tremendous, and I just want to get that out.
Yeah, it's good. I think there's probably a lot of people that they kind of they probably take what our guests say on our show as as our opinion also, and it's not always the case. I mean, we've had recently we've had guests on that have presented much different opinions than what we have. I think it's just it's nice to hear. It's you don't always want to have people with the exact same opinion that you do of everything, because then what there's no interest there. There's no diversity. So we try to we try to get differing opinions on.
And Jeff does great work. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
his work is
absolutely.
tremendous.
Yep. All right. So let's get to the questions and comments, and we'll start off with one from John Burns, 1776. So John says, another outstanding episode by the best JFK podcast on the web. Thanks, guys, for presenting Jim DiGenio. So glad to see him demolish the Judith Exner nonsense. So disappointing to see John Newman still pushing the Exner rubbish. Thank you for yet another great show, and great to see Sean rocking the Notre Dame Irish green. Please, everybody support this show on Patreon.
Well, thank you there, buddy. That's great praise, and appreciate that. And the Irish green shirt I was wearing in that episode, I got in South Bend when I was out there.
Nice
store, buddy. So yeah. And you know, just on the Judith Exner thing, I mean, at this point, Billy, I don't know how anybody could believe anything that Judith Exner says. Like Jim DiGenio said, she told 4 different stories, and they all change, they all contradict themselves. She keeps adding to the story. Like some of it could be checked that totally doesn't add up at all, and could be proven false. Like so much of it. So how could you take anything from her? And this is the problem, Billy. Like too many people in the JFK community don't look into the mob stuff and the Marilyn Monroe stuff and some of these you know, like the womanizing stuff. They don't look into it enough, and they just take it for granted. They accept it as fact. And again, it's a lot of it's just street gossip, leads nowhere.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yeah. All right. So thank you, John Burns. All right. Next one, Sean, comes from the latest flame, Dan Hinkie, who is our Patreon, one of them. He says, great episode. The only reason for Chris Wallace to release a book like this is to preach fallacies to the ignorant who will never audit the information or question it. Another JFK was bad hit piece. I'd like to think people will see right through this garbage. You and Jim are right. Anyone who uses Judith Campbell Exner or Cy Hirsch as sources is either hopelessly lost or an asset.
Yeah, I mean, Hirsch is another one, you know, just total garbage. Been discredited so many times. But yeah, Dan's right. I mean, it's just nonsense. It's more disinformation against the Kennedys. They just want to present JFK in a bad light so people won't look into the reason why he's killed. And Wallace's book is terrible. It's absolutely horrible. And Jim did a great job in that episode and his fine article on Kennedys and King, and he takes it apart. You know, enough with this 1960 election fix. It's easily provable, Bill, that the mob did not rig that election. And so people want to listen to what's on the street, go ahead. But the facts don't add up. So
Right.
How about listening to the facts for a change? I think that's what this country needs.
Yeah, absolutely. We need a big bowl of facts.
Be a nice change.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, latest flame. Appreciate that. All right. Next one comes from Silvio Dante suit and tie in Sydney,
Great
Australia.
Where's he at?
Sydney, Australia.
Well, yeah, we got a nice following there in Australia.
Yeah. All right, Billy and Sean, couple of questions for you guys. Was the Sopranos episode about the New England crew that they wanted to whack Johnny Sack based on anyone in the what is that? Patriarcha family, or even the Winter Hill gang? Also, I would love to hear an episode on the Philly mob and all the wars that took place there. My last question is, was the Detroit Mafia a major player or small-time operation? Thanks, and keep up the great work.
Okay, so the first part of that question, you want to take it, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, that's just there was actually a guy, right, that they called him now I can't even think of the name. What was it? Lou DiMaggio, right? There was actually a Lou DiMaggio.
No, I never heard that. And you're talking about in the Patriarcha?
No, just there was a hitman.
Oh, maybe there was, but as far as I know, as far as the Patriarcha family, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's based on. I don't think that's based on.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I'm not sure if there was a Lou DiMaggio, Billy. I don't know, but I don't
remember hearing something like that. That there was actually like a hitman, a guy called Lou DiMaggio. So I mean, or maybe not Lou DiMaggio, but it was something DiMaggio that they named him that because he used a baseball bat.
Well, I know Tony Accardo used a baseball bat, and they called him Joe Batters. That was his nickname, Joe Batters, but one of his nicknames. But
Yeah,
I'm not sure of that. But I don't think that was based on anybody that doesn't sound familiar to anybody I know in the Patriarcha family or even Winter Hill gang. But they were very unique characters, and it was a very great scene, and the episode was fantastic. It was just really good actors, and I enjoyed that episode a lot. But I don't think there's anything based in reality there. I could be wrong, but I don't. If anybody knows, reach out, let us know.
yeah. And then the one guy who was in that house, I forget the name of the actor, but he played. He was in The Godfather.
The Godfather, yeah.
It was Al Neary, I think was.
Yeah, Al Neary,
yeah.
He was one of Michael's main hitmen.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That was a good episode. And then the other thing, the Philly mob. Yeah, down the road, we're gonna have to do the Philly mob. We're gonna have to do, Nicky Scarfo and Stanfo and the whole war that went on down there. And it'll be a great episode. We'll do that. That'll be coming down the road.
Yeah.
And then what was the last part of that question?
Last one was the Detroit Mafia.
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, they were powerful in a sense that Jimmy Hoffa was from Detroit, so obviously they had a lot of connections. Tony Giacalone was a capo in the Detroit mob that was very powerful because he was related to like Tony Provenzano in New Jersey, who was a Genovese capo. So he had a lot of connections there, and they had a lot of connections to Hoffa. They had connections to Buffalino. The Zarelli family ran Detroit for a long time. Joe Zarelli was a boss for a long time, but they ran, 70 years. They were in charge of that. So it was kind of a small family, Billy, but powerful, well connected to the outfit in Chicago and well connected to the commission in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the power came from their proximity to Jimmy Hoffa.
Right. All right. Silvio, hey, Sean, just put you on the spot real quick. What were some of your, I don't know, one or two of your favorite lines from Silvio from The Sopranos?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, buddy. I can't. There's so many great lines. I mean, he just his mannerisms, Billy. And
yeah.
I don't know if you're watching, how far are you in Tulsa King, Billy?
We haven't gotten past the third episode. We just haven't.
Okay, but you know the kid that's character Vince, that's Dominic Lambertozzi's right hand.
Yeah.
The character. I think he did a lot of studying Silvio's mannerism, because don't you see a lot of his?
You're right. It does. Yeah,
the way he talks and even the way he walks, like it works for him, because I think he's a good character, and he go as the show goes on. I don't want to give anything away because we're going to be talking about Tulsa King when we do the Kansas City Mob episode.
Yeah.
As it goes on, his role gets bigger in the show, and it's really good. But I think he definitely studied Silvio Dante, or the character Stevie Van Zandt. I think he really, patterned the character after him. You could see it.
Yeah. He had so many great scenes. In The Sopranos, one of my favorites. It was just a small little scene. It was actually at the end of one of the early episodes. I forget if it was first season or second season, but him and Paulie are standing. They're in the office of the Satriali's, and Paulie's standing by the sink. I don't know if he's washing dishes or cooking or something, and he goes. I've been having good luck with Swiss Basics moisturizing formula. And Silvio looks at him and he goes, maybe I'll try it.
It was little things like that just, he made his character so cool. He was great. He was really great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Sydney, Australia. Wow. All right. Next one comes from Lance Antilli in DeForest, Wisconsin. Sean and Billy, love you guys standing up to MAGA and Trump. I appreciate your stance and your passion. It's disgusting how many people are afraid to say what you two say. Keep up the hope and pray for America. Well,
somebody's got to.
Yeah.
But really, we don't want to say too much now because we're going to do a Patreon. We're going to talk a lot about the election on the Patreon, but I just want to say something, Billy, to the people that just voted against Harris because she's a black woman. I really got nothing to say to you, but the people that genuinely think that there was a problem with the economy and they voted for Trump because of the economy. Because I heard a lot of people say that,
Right.
And the people that are living paycheck to paycheck and really struggling, I get it. I understand you. But the thing is, think about this, Bill. Do you really think the people that Jim DiEugenio calls the Billionaires Club, Elon Musk and Bezos and Peter Thiel and their mouthpiece, that awful Dana White? Do you really think those people care at all about
Of course not.
the working man? They could care less. Look at who the people are standing next to Trump.
Right.
Jim said the Billionaires Club. They're the ones that he's going to help. They're going to get big tax cuts. They made a ton of money in their stocks as soon as he was elected. All their stocks went up. And the thing is, Bill, if you think the economy is bad now, wait till those tariffs hit and you're paying $80 for stocks.
Well, and also,
how bad the economy is.
Yeah, and also, wait till your kids don't get free breakfast and lunch anymore at school. You know, I mean, they're going to cut so much of the things that the everyday working man needs. Well,
the thing is, Billy, the people that's going to be hurt the most by this is the people who voted for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And just wait and see. We
did our part. I mean, we did our part to try to convince people, but a lot of people just didn't listen.
All right. No.
Let's move on. Talk about something else.
Yeah. Okay, this one. Big Ange, our buddy Angelo Mariucci.
There we go. Big Ange.
He says, great episode, guys. Sean, Sean, you got to tell me which episodes these are, because I don't know.
I do, but they're all, because the thing is, they're coming from all different places. Some on YouTube, some Twitter, some emails, some Instagram. So I got it. Yeah, you're right. I gotta start putting that in there for you, buddy.
All right. So Sean, do you think the Mafia could ever make a resurgence to power they once had? Part of the reason they got as big as they did in the beginning was people questioning their power, even Hoover, if I'm not mistaken, saying there was no Mafia. Also, by having a commission within each family, not any one person as a head, could make it harder for law enforcement and FBI to target specific families. Finally, did you mention in the podcast that the commission really only is for New York anymore, or other organized families across the country, specifically Chicago, not on the commission, unless I misunderstood? Also, whenever you hear somebody talk about Michael Franzese, they always refer to him as a former mob boss. Am I missing something? I thought he was only a capo at the most. The one thing that I kind of find hard to believe, he always says that he never killed anybody to have to gain membership in the mob, which everything I've ever read, that's not the case. So there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. So let's go through them. Let's go through them for Big Ange here. So no, I don't think the Mafia is ever going to make a comeback. And you did hear that right. I did say that the commission today is, they don't have one boss. They have like a panel really running each family. And they're not sanctioning hits anymore. I think it's been 3 years since they sanctioned a hit. And they're just strictly a New York thing. It's not like it was before, where they oversee the 26 families, because honestly, Bill, there's only about 8 or 9 families left that are active. I mean, there's not that much in even the satellite families that each family had, they're gone. So it's like, everybody's kind of on their own. Chicago's doing their own thing. And it's like, it's not connected like it was before. And I don't think it's ever going to be as powerful as it is, just because of the changing times, Billy. Like, you can't do the things, Billy. Like, what was the episode of Sopranos where they try to shake down that guy for protection money? And
the coffee shop, right?
Coffee shop. And he's like,
he said, look,
every cent is accounted for.
Right. And that there's no mom and pop shops anymore, where you can do that. And it's, the other thing is, the FBI cracks down so hard on these guys, and they don't have guys anymore who have that same philosophy of, we're not going to talk, we're not going to rat. as soon as one of these guys gets caught with something, the first thing that they do is turn state's evidence. So, I mean, they have so much, there's so many things that they could charge these guys with now with RICO and everything. There's really no way the mob can operate the way that they used to.
And as soon as the guys weren't going to do prison time, and there was just no, they were more afraid of going to prison, Billy,
right,
than getting whacked. And that was the thing. And once that, guys start ratting, and there was like no loyalty left, and you can see it, Billy. Just look at all these guys that have podcasts, the gangsters, ex-gangsters. None of them get along. They're always fighting with each other. So you can see that it was all falling apart, but it's just never going to be the same. It's just, today there's like so much white collar crime and stuff. And it's like, the old school mafia, they're just done, Billy.
Right. Speaking of guys with podcasts, he also asked about Mike Franzese, however you say it. I don't even know.
Franzese.
Well,
what exactly did he ask about him?
He said that I don't know who they is, but he says they always refer to him as a former mob boss. But I don't think he even says that.
No, well, he might not say that, Bill, but yeah, I know what Andrew's talking about, because a lot of times when he's on another show, when they have him on anywhere, like even when he was on who was he on with? Piers, whatever his name is.
Piers Morgan.
He was on there. They said former mob boss and stuff. He was never a boss. He was never,
right.
He was a capo. And the thing is, if you really want to know the truth about him, just Google the name Michael Grillo. It'll tell you everything about him. I didn't want to get into it. I'm tired of Franzese. He's up Trump's ass. It's got caught in so many lies, Billy, and the stuff he says. Like when he got into that Marilyn Monroe crap, and he started talking about stuff that went on way before his time. And his show start getting into politics and into, like everyday situations and stuff. And nobody wants to hear that. When show first came out, it was just about his life as a gangster. It was interesting. Now it's not interesting. To me, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But the other thing is about, what was the last thing about him killing somebody?
Saying that he never killed anybody, but you have to kill somebody to be made. I think that's kind of what the gist of what Andrew was saying.
Yeah, I know. I hear what Andrew's saying, but you know what? That's technically not true, Billy. That's technically not true. Like like they say, you got to make your bones and stuff, but there's a lot of guys that made their bones in the mafia that aren't actual killers. Like, tell me one person John Gotti killed himself. He ordered a lot. He was involved in a lot, but tell me one hit that he pulled the trigger himself.
Wasn't it though? Didn't he kill that guy?
No, he didn't. McBrantley, what happened with him was, see, McBrantley, there's a whole thing. McBrantley was a crew, and they build it up in the movie that this crew of Irish guys tied to the Westies. They had nothing to do with the Westies. In fact, McBrantley was like 75% Italian. He was only like 25% Irish, and his crew was all Italians. And they were going around kidnapping mob guys, and they kidnapped Carlo Gambino's grandson, I believe. And they ended up killing the kid. They were holding him for ransom, and a lot of times the mob guys would pay. In this case, they paid, and I think they still killed them. So then Carlo ordered the hit, and Anelie Della Croce got Carlo to give the contract to Gotti. So Gotti was part of the team, but Castellano wanted his own man in there.
Right.
His own man was the guy that pulled the trigger. They went into the bar. Gotti was part of it. Angelo Ruggiero was in on it. And they went into the bar to try to get McBrantley out, and they were going to kill him outside. But he realized what was going on, and a fight broke out in the bar, and then the gun went off and killed McBrantley, but it wasn't Gotti who pulled the trigger.
Oh, okay.
He was part of the team, but I'm not aware of any hit that Gotti did himself. And the same thing with Johnny Roselli, Billy, which makes that whole thing about Roselli training snipers and all this other stuff. I'm not aware of anybody that Roselli killed himself.
Okay.
He was involved in a lot. He planned a lot, but so I think maybe you have to be involved in setting up a murder or something like that. But as far as, you don't necessarily have to pull the trigger yourself to get to make your bones, because I'm aware of quite a few gangsters, Billy, that were made men that didn't. Joe Pistone was going to be made, Billy, and he never killed anybody.
Right.
Joe Pistone, they were going to make him. Yeah,
right.
They were going to make him in the mob.
That's right. Yeah.
He never killed anybody.
Yeah.
He's going to be a made man. So I mean, you know, most of them do. Most of the, you know, probably 90% of them made their bones by killing somebody. But you know, there's exceptions.
Right. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I believe Michael Franzese on that because I don't think that was his thing. You know, he was a businessman. He was a smart guy. He was in medical school, Billy. He dropped out of medical school. He was really smart, and he ran operations. He ran that gas scam that they had. And that was a really complex scheme that they had going on for years. They were making millions on that. So that was the stuff that he did, you know. So
Right.
he was more of a white collar type gangster.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe him on that. I don't believe him on, you know, probably 80-90% of what he says, but I do believe him on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Ange. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back with some more questions and comments. And we would like to thank our sponsor, Gracious Day Grains. Sean, you like to eat healthy, don't you?
Always, buddy. I try to eat healthy as much as I can.
Yeah. And there is nothing healthier than what they call like farm to table, right? So when you can get something right from the ground and make it and then put it right on your table. And Gracious Day Grains, they have a tremendous selection, and it's totally organic. Everything is, you know, they don't use any sort of herbicides or pesticides or anything like that. They have a bunch of different products on their website, Gracious Day Grains. So if you go to graciousdaymilling.com, you'll find a bunch of great stuff there, Sean.
Yeah, you will, Billy. And it's owned by Tom Maxey, who's a great guy from Virginia. He's a truth seeker, just like me and you, buddy. And Tom's growing philosophy follows the wisdom of farmers of centuries past. And a quote from Tom is, "If we practice the right rotations, we exclude the bugs and weeds without needing herbicides or pesticides." So, I mean, this is great, Billy. I mean, what he's doing is fantastic.
There's cornbread mix, there's cornmeal, popcorn he sells, buckwheat Sean, have you had buckwheat pancakes?
No, buddy.
Oh my, they're delicious. I love buckwheat pancakes. And Gracious Day Grains sells buckwheat pancakes. Just go to their website and you know, you'll be able to find all of this stuff there. You can order it right off the website. You can find out all about how they farm and their whole philosophy, Tom's philosophy. It's great stuff.
It really is, Billy. And one of the things he does is he grinds small batches at very low temperatures, which retains the flavor and the freshness.
Of course. And it can't get any fresher than that. I mean, it's literally right from the ground. So again, go to graciousdaymilling.com and just, you know, take a look on there. You can order whatever you want and they'll send it right to your door. I mean, again, it doesn't get any fresher than that, right from Tom's farm to your door to your table. So
absolutely. And eat healthy and you'll feel better.
Absolutely. I wish I could do that. I wish I could eat healthier, Sean.
We'll start with Tom's stuff, buddy.
I'm going to order some of those buckwheat pancakes. I love.
There you go. I'm going to try them too, Billy.
Yeah, they're really good. All right. Gracious Day. We thank Gracious Day Grains for their sponsorship.
Thank you.
All right, we are back. And that's enough out of you. We have some more questions and comments from our listeners and viewers. Sean, these are some of my favorite episodes. I love doing these.
I know, I do too.
Question comment episodes because we get such a variety of stuff. You know, there's such great questions and yeah, just love them. All right. This one, and you know, here's another one, Sean. JFK is my hero is the name in Madrid, Spain. It just goes to show you how loved he is around the world.
Around the world, buddy. Around the world.
Yeah.
They have statues for him in so many different countries, Billy.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And people have pictures of him in their house all over the world. It's unbelievable. Yep. And that's because he was a peace president who tried to stop all this nonsense.
Right. Yep. All right. JFK is my hero in Madrid, Spain. Says, guys, love your podcast. Your guests are the cream of the crop, and you guys make terrific conversations with them. I know most of the Marilyn Monroe mob Kennedy stuff is hot crap. But what do you make of the incriminating stuff in the FBI files? Is this Hoover disinformation? Also, do you think Hoover had anything to do with the planning and carrying out of the JFK assassination or even the RFK assassination?
So great question there. Great question. I think a lot of it, what's in the FBI files, I think anything on Kennedy, I think, yes, this information from Hoover, because remember, Bill, and we talked about this with Don McGovern. He had people like Frank Capel, who was an FBI asset, a very anti-communist guy that was uh, putting out there a lot of disinformation and a lot of lies about the Kennedys and a lot of the stuff in those files, because we know that there's that police report that Don talked about that Bobby Kennedy was pulled over. We know that can't be true because we have evidence that Bobby Kennedy wasn't there. He was 350 miles away in Gilroy,
Right.
California. So, yeah, I think a lot of it in there is disinformation. There's no doubt about that. As far as him being involved in the planning, no, I don't think so. But I think there's a lot of evidence. You know, we talked with David Joseph, we talked with Lisa Pease. A lot of people seem to think that, you know, Hoover was onto this plan before November 22nd, and he realized what was going on. I think he realized there, you know, that it was coming from, a lot of it was coming from the CIA. I think he realized there was people in the CIA that was involved in it, and he obviously didn't do anything to stop it. He's not going to take on the CIA, but I think there was this rivalry between Hoover and Dulles, definitely. And I think, you got to ask the question down the road, did the CIA get rid of Hoover? You know, so I mean, I think that's the question. What else was there, Billy, in there?
Um,
That was a multi-layered question, buddy.
yeah, it was the Marilyn Monroe mob, Kennedy. And then he said, did he have anything to do with planning and carrying out the assassination of either JFK or RFK?
No, but RFK, I mean, in Lisa P's book on RFK, the best book on the RFK assassination, she talks about the guy who went to Hoover, and told him about the evidence he had against Bob Mayhew, that Mayhew was involved in the RFK assassination. Hoover said, we know Mayhew ran the operation, but we can't do anything about the CIA. And that's what Hoover said to this guy. So we know, that Hoover knew, but he wasn't involved in the planning. He certainly had no love for the Kennedys. We know that. Hoover hated the Kennedys, but there's no evidence that he planned it. But I think he knew about both assassinations and who was involved. I mean, he was investigating a lot of that, Billy, especially with JFK. He was investigating it, and he covered up a lot of it after the fact.
Yeah. Yep. All right. JFK is my hero in Madrid, Spain. Thank you for that. All right. Next, still my favorite. If anyone could come up with a better name than this, guys, that's my challenge to our listeners. Potatoes O'Brien, my favorite. Sean, I heard lots of ESPN commentators call 2025 a rebuilding year for our Fighting Irish. Do you agree? Also, do you think Notre Dame will go to the transfer portal again to get a quarterback in 2025? Go Irish. Love the sports episodes you guys do covering college football.
It's amazing. We're not even done with 24.
I know. What ESPN is just the joke. Like,
they're
we're talking about 2025 for. We're still
pathetic. Well, let's get to the second part of that question first. As far as Notre Dame going to the portal for a quarterback, I think they're going to have to, Potatoes, but not for a starter, because they're not going to go for a Sam Hartman. They're not going to go for a Riley Leonard. They're going to probably go for a guy who's maybe at an Ivy League school, or somebody who's a veteran, a fifth year, wants to get a graduate degree from Notre Dame, and maybe get into coaching. Somebody that could use as really good experience in that room, because it's going to be a young room next year. And the problem is, Billy, next year you're going to have CJ Carr, who's going to be a redshirt freshman. You're going to have Kenny Minchie, who's going to be a redshirt sophomore, very talented. And then you're going to have Steve Angeli, who's a senior with 2 years eligibility next year. Angeli's a guy that could leave and go to Rutgers. He could be a starter. He could go to Syracuse. He can have a really good final 2 years there and maybe make it into the NFL. Angeli's a good quarterback, but the other two kids are more talented. So the question, Billy, the problem is that, let's just say this scenario sets up. What I think is going to happen, I think CJ is going to win the job, because that kid is unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
And say he wins the job, Billy, and say Angeli and Minchie both transfer. Now your only backup to CJ Carr would be a true freshman and a bunch of walk-ons. So you
Right.
have to go to the portal, because I think one of those guys are going to transfer. It's just the nature. You have to think that way in this day and age. So I think you have to go to portal, but go for an Ivy League kid looking for a graduate degree, someone with experience that if he has to come in, you're safe putting him in for a few games, but also you have a backup there, with some experience in that room, because it's still going to be a very young room, especially if Angeli bolts if he's not the starter. And then as far as Notre Dame being a rebuilding year, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, if you watch Notre Dame build, how young they are right now, I mean, how can you say it's going to be a rebuilding year? You're looking at just on the defense, Billy, you got a true freshman cornerback, you got a true freshman linebacker, you got freshman ends. Bryce Young is a stud freshman defensive end. Leonard Moore starting there, a cornerback filling in for Benjamin Morrison. I mean, they're loaded everywhere, Billy. And then the offensive line, Billy, that's so young this year, is going to be experienced next year. And you're still going to have Jeremiah Love, who I still think is the best player on the team. He's back, a loaded running back room. They got a freshman, Kedron Young, that they can't get him on the field because they're so loaded at running back room. But I think once the light turns on, that kid's going to he might be the best back. He might even be better than Love. So they're going to be loaded everywhere. I don't know how you could say it's going to be rebuilding year. The schedule is going to be tough. You're going to have a young quarterback, unless Angeli wins the starting job, which I don't think he will. But I could see maybe that's what they're thinking. But knowing ESPN, they're probably just starting more crap on Notre Dame, because that's what they do. They like to stir it up. I mean, now all of a sudden, where's all the stuff that they were saying, Bill, when they lost to Northern Illinois? They were saying that Notre Dame was this. Since that game, Notre Dame's destroyed everybody they played. Everybody. I mean, last night's game, Bill, no disrespect to Mark Damzik, because I was texting with him the whole way. But I didn't even sweat that game, Billy. I mean, I haven't since the Northern Illinois game, Billy. It's been like cakewalks.
And you're talking about the FSU game, because this will be a few weeks.
Yeah, that's true, because there was the Florida State game. But ever since the Northern Illinois game, Bill, they blew everybody out. I mean, the next week they put almost 70 up on Purdue. Right. I mean, they haven't really had a close game since then. And watching them, Billy, it's like, the defense kind of just lets everybody, kind of figure out what they're doing the first drive. The other team goes down, maybe they kick a field goal. Then after that, they just suffocate them.
Yeah.
It's over. And offensively, they're getting better and better. The running game is getting better. Riley Leonard is getting better, starting to develop the pass game. Last night, Florida State focused primarily on Jeremiah Love. That was their game plan. We're going to shut down number 4. He's not going to beat us. And it didn't matter, Bill, because they had about 4 or 5 other playmakers that beat them.
Yeah.
And hung 50 on them. So
all right.
They're not
rebuilding. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay.
Long answer.
All right. Thank you, Potatoes O'Brien. All right. Next one. The Irish bagpipe, and I'm not even going to attempt this city, but Irish bagpipe is in Iceland. The city is, I don't know. I wouldn't even know where to start there. All right, Sean, I watched the movie Black Mass about Whitey Bulger. How accurate is this movie? Did Whitey really have strong ties to the IRA?
I think the movie's pretty accurate. I think, it's based on the book. Gerald O'Neill and Dick Laird, the 2 journalists that wrote the book. They worked, I believe, for the Boston Herald or the Boston Globe. But I think it's fairly accurate. I think, of course, Hollywood's going to take a little bit of liberty like they always do. But I think, Johnny Depp was really good in that movie. And I think, Whitey had strong connections with the IRA. I mean, that ship, the Valhalla, that they confiscated all the guns and stuff that they were sending from Boston over to Belfast. I mean, they had strong ties going back. Winter Hill had a long connection with the IRA going back into the 60s and 70s and right into the 80s. So they had a long-term relationship with them, and all that is accurate. So Black Mass was pretty accurate, Billy. I think it was, it was fairly accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think, going by everything we've read and heard about, I would agree with you. All right. Very, very good. All right. Thank you. The Irish bagpipe in Iceland. All right. Mr. Crow in St. Paul's Bay, Malta.
Malta,
Yeah. We're all over the place, Sean. We're all over the world here.
man.
Billy and Sean, have any of the authors you had on, or have you two ever found any credible evidence that David and Nelson Rockefeller were behind the JFK assassination? Also, Sean, you mentioned you are researching Robert Mayhew and are planning on doing an episode. You've been saying this for a while now. So when can we expect this, sir? Keep up the great work, guys. You make my Sunday nights listening to you fellows. Well, thank you, Mr. Crow. So as far as the Rockefeller, Sean, I mean, we've done extensive.
Yeah, we had Scott Alfieri on, and we talked about. I mean, there's no evidence. You can't prove,
Right.
But the thing is, just ask yourself this question, Bill: is there any single person who profited more from that assassination than David Rockefeller? Just on the Vietnam War, the money he made.
Exactly.
The money he, and he was so close with Allen Dulles. So, I mean, can you prove it? Of course you can. That's the way Rockefeller operated.
Right.
And what was the rest of that question, Billy?
The Robert Mayhew episode. When is Lisa?
I'm working on it. Malta. I'm working on it. It's taking a lot of time, Billy, because I want to, bring Lisa on with it and looking into a lot of stuff and actually hitting a lot of brick walls, Billy, on it. There's not a lot of information on a guy, and you gotta understand that, Billy, because you're talking about a guy who the movie or the series Mission Impossible is based on, Robert Mayhew. So he was the guy the government went to when they wanted no trace left. So there's not a lot of trace evidence on him, so it's something that, really hard to investigate, Billy. But I think there's a connection there. We're looking on some angles, and Lisa did a great job, kind of fingering him for the RFK assassination. So we're just trying to fill in that space between the Castro attempts and the RFK assassination, and what was he doing, when JFK was assassinated, and that's and the connection he has with William Harvey and Guy Bannister. So it'll be coming. Maybe it won't be this year though. It's probably going to be next year. It's probably next year. It's probably in January, maybe February.
All right. Gives you something to look forward to there, Mr. Crow, while you're listening to us.
Or maybe even the spring, Billy. I don't want to get them too down there, but it might it might be pushed out that far. But it'll be out. It'll be out.
All right.
It'll be called Mission Possible, based on Lisa's chapter in her book. That's Mission Possible.
Cool. All right, Mr. Crow in St. Paul's Bay, Malta. Thank you very much for that.
Want to take another break, Billy?
Why don't let's do a couple more, then we'll take another break.
Okay.
All right. This comes from Christopher Kimball, 8534. Great episode, guys, with a great guest. And this is in reference to the David Joseph's episode.
Oh, did I mark that one?
Well, I'm using my context clues, Sean. It seems that they want us to waste time on Mexico City when we should focus on other aspects of this monstrous case. Looking forward to part 2 with Mr. Josephs.
Yeah, and that's coming, and hopefully we're going to have John Armstrong on. We're working on that. Hopefully we got John Armstrong and David Joseph. That's going to be a fantastic episode, Billy.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
One down. So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Christopher Kimball. All right, next one comes from Matawan Massacre. Is that how you say that? Matawan?
Yeah, that's another one of the mines, Billy. There was an incident where the mine owners, of course, butchering miners and stuff, and you can look that up, buddy. Look that up.
Yeah. All right, and I don't know what this is. He starts off, speaking of Summers, he's awfully naive.
Anthony Summers he's talking about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
His JFK book, Conspiracy, is full of great information. It names a lot of the names, but Summers doesn't know how to read the information that he's giving you, because his book packs so much info, reveal of William Gaudet, etc. It holds up, but Summers himself doesn't understand how intel operations work or the level of deceit that these operators employ.
Yeah, Anthony Summers, Bill, early in his career, he did some good work on the JFK assassination, and then he got down the rabbit hole with Marilyn Monroe, and he started putting out a lot of hearsay, falling for a lot of crap, and he's become unreadable, in my opinion. He put out that Netflix special not too long ago that was complete garbage. So he's terrible. I can't read anything about him. I dismiss everything that he says anymore. But what was the rest of that, Billy? What else was in there?
Let's see. Summers doesn't know how to understand Intel operation. He doesn't understand how Intel.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't understand Intel operations. He doesn't, and that's part of the problem. But I remember Summers, Bill. One of the first times I seen him on TV. I think I was still in high school, but I no, because it was a little bit after that, because the JFK movie was out, and there was a hit piece on Oliver Stone on TV, and they interviewed Summers, and he said that there's not a speck of evidence that, like Oliver Stone said, that the Kennedy assassination had anything to do with Vietnam. And he says, I could speculate that it had to do with his womanizing or something like that he made, because there's a lot of evidence to that, but there's not a speck of evidence that he was pulling out of Vietnam. And now we know that's complete garbage. We know that Kennedy was pulling out, and that's the thing. Oliver got hammered for that movie, Billy, but Oliver knew the truth because he had Fletcher Prouty.
Yeah.
He had Fletcher Prouty, advising him on that. But yeah, Summers is terrible.
Yeah. All right, Sean, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back with another Matawan Massacre comment. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
DK's Corner has moved. Come see us in our brand new location at 201 Cherry Street in Jessup, Pennsylvania, right across from the Jessup Plaza. Enjoy a brand new menu with hot and cold sandwiches, soups, salads, pizza, delicious breakfast, including breakfast bowls and sandwiches, specialty coffees, and DK's famous Razzle Dazzle flavor shaken espressos, and still the best cheesesteaks around. Follow DK's Corner on Facebook and Instagram, or call them at 570-209-0278 to find out about their daily specials and catering. And DK's Corner now has beautiful outdoor seating for the summer. Don't feel like leaving the house? Call DK's Corner for delivery. And we thank DK's Corner for sponsoring That's Enough Out of You. DK's Corner, now in Jessup, Pennsylvania. That's Enough Out of You is also sponsored by Casa Quattro Winery, featuring over 20 flavors of wine, from dry red, dry white, and fruit for your sampling pleasure. Casa Quattro Winery offers entertainment, parties, and private events. Now serving a full menu with a little something for everyone, including appetizers, salads, dinners, pizza, and desserts. Casa Quattro has some of the best live entertainment in the area, with comedy and karaoke nights and live bands. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram for all of our upcoming events. And if you mention the code OUTA, that's OUTTA, you get 15% off of your order. Located on Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, call 570-382-3855 for more information. And we thank Casa Quattro Winery for their support. All right, we are back. That's Enough Out of You. Another question, comment episode. All right, so we ended right before the break. We had Matawan Massacre, and now we have another one from Matawan Massacre. This one, let's see. It starts off slowly but surely. You fellas have added 50 subscribers since I've been subscribed. The suppression is real, but what do you expect? Anyway, I was going to tell you guys just the other day. It dawned on me to recommend a guest to you guys. You guys might be able to get. I listened to a pretty fantastic talk she gave, and some info about her was revealed to me that I had been unaware of before. But anyhow, you should try to have Barbara Honegger on the show. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm so bad with names, Sean.
Yeah.
It's Honneger on the show. She's best known for her work on the October Surprise.
Right.
She's unaware that she has lived in Monterey, California for decades, and she worked closely with Mae Brussel over the last 2 years of Mae's life. I'm sure she has some riveting information to share and would make for a great conversation on the show. She seems to be well-versed in the Nazi connections to all of these crimes that we are so interested in and enthralled by.
Yeah, we'll look into it. You know,
Yep.
we're always fascinated, when people bring up, get this guest on, and it takes time. I got a list, Bill, of about 10 guests right now I'm vetting, and I got to, look into it, then try to develop the connection and stuff. So it takes time, but yeah, we'll look into that. And we did do a speakeasy. We talked about May Brussel, and
Right.
did have an episode planned that kind of got pushed aside for various reasons. But May Brussel was a fascinating character, and somebody that we're definitely going to talk about in an episode down the road.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. All right. Mono Unmasker, thank you so much. Hope your Sunday nights continue to be filled with our wonderful voices and faces. I don't
And
know.
Bill, we won't even hold it against him that we publish these episodes on Friday and he waits till Sunday. It's all right.
Some people like to
That's
some
true.
people like to wait, and savor
Yeah,
it.
whenever they want to listen, that's fine. Some people wait 2 months, Billy.
Yeah. Some people wait years. All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So next one from Linda Gianna Zambanini, who I think we've had questions from before.
Yeah. Comments.
Sean, LOL, who cares about Fred Litwin? Amen. That was the extensive.
Well, that's in the one episode, Bill. I forget who the guest was, but they talked about Fred Litwin, who of course is one of these lone nutters. And I just said, who cares what he says? Because it's honestly, Billy, I've had it with the lone nutters. I've had it with their nonsense. I mean, at this point, if you think that Oswald did it, I mean, he might as well just believe in the tooth fairy. I mean, it's just stupid already, so I have no patience for Litwin. I don't appreciate his work at all. I don't even like him, to be honest with you. I don't even like seeing him, listening to him. I put him with Summers and all the rest of these guys, and Wallace, put them all in. No interest in reading any of their crap and their nonsense. I'm kind of fed up with it, to be honest with you.
Yep.
So who cares?
Amen. All right. Thank you, Linda. All right, Sean, got a couple more left. Next one is from Op Flavius, 1988. And this is regarding the David Josephs episode. I finished listening to the podcast version of this episode today. It was excellent, guys. Great work. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I think that was a great episode, and we're going to have David back.
Yeah, definitely. He's coming back on soon. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. All right. One more, Sean, and then we'll wrap up for the day. This one comes from Rawhead Rex, waiting on another hockey episode, but this time Sean can't back out. Don't let him, Billy. I've been working on something for a while with hockey. It doesn't look like it's going to pan out. But I'd love to do a hockey episode. I think we just need to find somebody, the right guest.
I mean, the thing is, though, what am I really going to add to hockey? I mean, I watched a little bit postseason with Nate, and we watched the Bruins, but I don't watch enough hockey to add anything to it. So, I mean, if Rawhead Rex wants me to be on it, I'll be on it, but I'm not going to have a lot to say. You you come on with a guest, Billy, and maybe I'll learn a little bit more. I can't really add much to it because I'm a college football guy and a baseball guy, Billy.
Yeah.
So that's where my interest lies.
Well, with hockey season starting up again, like I said, I've been working on getting somebody to come on the show. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to. So unfortunately, but I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying to get something together for hockey. I mean,
sure, Rawhead would appreciate your Rangers hat there, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you guys have listened to the show long enough, you know my passion for hockey, and I just love it. And I love talking about it too. So hopefully
we are going to have a big sports episode coming up, though, Bill. We have a local high school football coach, ex-football coach, who's going to come on. We're going to talk NIL. We're going to talk college football.
Yep.
He's a baseball fan too. We're going to talk maybe a little bit pro baseball, and we might even we're going to get into college football a little bit. It's going to be a fascinating conversation, but we'll get into high school football locally and stuff. And he has two kids that are at D1 schools now, one in baseball, one in football. So we're going to talk to him about the whole process of recruiting and stuff. So that's going to be phenomenal, Billy. So
is that going to be a speakeasy, or is that going to be a regular?
No, it's going to be on a free site, Billy. It's going to be a regular episode. It's going to be on the free site.
All right.
Put on there, but that'll be coming. Probably won't be published till probably to the new year, probably in January. But I think in December we're gonna be recording it. Because we're about 4 or 5 ahead. But we'll
Yeah.
start adding maybe some more sports, Billy. Maybe we'll do a little bit more movies and stuff, and
Yeah, I think in 2025 we got some movie stuff lined up. I think we're going to bring Alex Robinson back for we're going to do an episode on Casino, because it'll be 30 years for that movie Casino, and that's his favorite movie. So we'll bring him back on. We'll talk about that, and we'll do some different things coming up in 2020.
yeah, and we got some standalone episodes scheduled. We got that one in the Kansas City mob, and
Yep.
we're gonna tie it into Tulsa King and talk about that. And we got a lot of guests lined up, Billy. A lot of good. We got some new guests lined up, and we got some returning guests.
All right.
It's gonna be a great ending to the year, Billy, and it's gonna be a fantastic start of the year, at least on our podcast. I don't know about anything else.
Well, as long as as we record this, we're still a democracy.
Yeah,
We're
well,
allowed to have our
I don't even know
podcast.
if the sun will be shining, Billy, but come January, but
Who knows?
oh well.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed this episode. We always enjoy these because you guys are the best. Our listeners are truly the best with the questions and comments. We love them.
Tremendous.
Keep it as long as you guys keep coming with these questions and comments. We'll keep pushing out these shows because we love doing them.
We're only about 50 behind, Billy, so we're never going to catch up. We're always going to have, so that's why we're always going to have these episodes.
That's right. All right. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you comment and question and all that stuff right there on YouTube. And if you are a podcast audio only listener, make sure you rate us, review us, and give us a good review because that's what we want. All right. Well, John, this has been great. And
Another great episode, Billy.
All right.
Questions coming.
All right. Very good. All right. Thank you, everybody. And that's enough out of you. That's Enough Out of You podcast is executive produced and written by Bill Rader and Sean Kane and edited by Bill Rader. The That's Enough Out of You podcast and logo are exclusive property of Bags of Chicken, LLC. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or accounts of this podcast without the express written consent of Bags of Chicken, LLC is prohibited. So don't even try it.